Hey everyone, it's Grant Thomas from Visas Association bringing you another question and answers video where this session we're going to be walking through how long after I have got a Schengen visa or even been refused a Schengen visa can I apply again. And they're two very different situations, right? So we're going to walk through exactly what this means, and towards the end of the video we're actually going to outline the exact timeframes, but exactly how you should go about it to ensure that you don't raise sort of red flags within the consulate and embassy. So before we jump into that, if you've already got a Schengen visa approved and you're just looking to reapply for your next travel, please do wait at least 1 to 2 months for this. The reason being is that you can't really have two applications outstanding at any one time, right? And so the logic is that if you go and apply for a Schengen visa to travel this year, and then that gets approved, and then next month you go and apply for a Schengen visa that backs straight onto that Schengen visa, it can start ringing some alarm bells within the consulate or the embassy going, well, why is this, right? However, if you are looking for a transit visa to travel through a Schengen state, and then the second application is actually for a multiple entry visa, you can go and do that. But if, again, you're in that situation, please just ask for a multiple entry Schengen visa, get one visa to save the headache of going in and out, and provide them evidence that the Schengen visa you're getting is because you're looking to transit through 1 month, and then a couple of months later, you're looking to actually travel through the Schengen region. It's so much better to maximize the use of a multiple entry Schengen visa than it is to apply for two Schengen visas. So it's very, very rare that if you've got your Schengen visa approved, you're gonna need to apply to another one. So in the situation that you're sitting there saying, how long can I apply because of that situation? Try and think about, do I just go and get the multiple entry visa? So hopefully that helps. Again, quite a rare scenario, but it is quite valid. Now for the more common scenario, which is if you've been refused or rejected entry and you've appealed and you haven't been approved. So again, I'll link across to an appeals video which talks about why the top reasons why people get rejected and refused for their Schengen visa. So if you've gone through that whole process and you got rejected again, please don't submit another appeal process. If you've applied and you were refused and then you appealed and you were refused again, there is a reason to it. So stop, reassess and recalibrate yourself before you go and apply again. The time frame that we usually recommend people to take is a 1 month period. Just cool it off, relax and continue on. But again, if you've just been refused, don't try and reapply. Go for an appeals letter, right? And so we talk about the appeals process in other videos, but that is the best logical step number 2. So the first one is if you've been approved and you're looking for a second one, try to just factor in whether or not at the start you should just go for a multiple entry. Step number 2 is if you've been rejected, go through an appeals process. Don't reapply. Right? And the reason for this is because an appeals process means that they can go back to your previously provided documentation and say, oh, there were things that were missing, and you can go and update it. The time that you want to reapply, which is item number 3, is when you have got a situation where your complete Schengen visa application changes. So for example, if in the first one, which you were refused for, you were applying for multiple entry, but you only really need a single entry, that is probably a good justification for going and reapplying. Again, if that is a situation, the reapplication will be around that type of visa, which is a single entry tourism visa where you don't need to worry so much about validating that you're going to travel between a whole heap of different countries. And so to dive a little bit deeper into that, if you are reapplying, there is no formal limit time that you have to wait. Our recommendation is 30 days. The reason for that is because if a consulate or embassy sees someone apply, then send an appeal and then reapply again, like it just raises red flags. If it logically concerns you, if you were to do it, the embassy and consulate is just an extreme version of us, right? They are trying to protect their borders and make sure that people don't go in who shouldn't be going in. So it just makes it harder for you to be approved. Spamming them with applications doesn't help. So this, the next thing that we want to do is, if we have been rejected and we're looking to reapply, and we don't want to send an appeal, we really should find out why the first ones were rejected in the first place. So if you've missed a document, if you haven't had things certified, if you forgot to attach your photos or anything like that, go through the appeals process. Do not reapply. The time that you want to reapply is if your entire travel situation has completely changed, right? So if they rejected your first one in the example before, where it was a request for multiple entry visa and you only needed a single entry, go and reapply for a single entry, put your latest utility bill, put your latest pay slips and bank statements, because probably a month has passed, and reapply to the Schengen visa. And the reason for this is because it's kind of like when you've got a document on your computer that you're completing, right? If you've written all of your essay and then it gets to the end and you go, oh, I want to change my topic, you don't go and try and change the essay to be applicable to the new topic. You create a new document and you start again. And Schengen visas is very similar, right? So if my entire reason for traveling or the entire amount of countries I want to visit changes, I shouldn't try and adapt my previous application for it. I should just go and create a new one. And it's really important that you always learn from your mistakes. Just because you've been rejected does not put a big black mark against your name and decrease the chances for you to get approved later. It doesn't, right? They do make a note of it, yes, and it is visible, yes. But again, if it is because you are missing documents or otherwise, they are completely reasonable. So you can go through and reapply, and as long as you come back down into this is the exact reason that I need this type of visa, they're completely fine. And then the final bullet point is like, don't use the same documents. And so the example that we talk to on this one is, imagine I applied in June and then I got a rejection in July. By the time I understand why I was refused, the documents that were missing, the updates I've made, it's in August. So I can't just resubmit the same documents because they've already been flagged as not appropriate. But there's also been 2 months that have passed, which means I need to apply the latest photos, the latest utility bills, the latest everything, right? Just because I applied in June 1st and now it's in end of August doesn't mean I can just keep submitting the same stuff. No, you still need to go back and reevaluate and attach everything. Now, there are some examples for this, which is like birth certificates and passports and stuff, but I will say this, the latest certified passports and birth certificates is critical. So if, for example, you had your birth certificate certified a year ago, don't use that same certification. Try and get it within the last month or two, right? And so again, look at all of the certification dates and all of the dates on all these documents and then reapply from there. So as we were talking about, again, it really relates back to the reasons why you're reapplying, which we ran through all the other steps, in order for you to understand exactly how you should reapply or what timeframes you should reapply. So hopefully this video has answered a lot of your questions. And again, it is quite a confusing kind of topic because there are a couple of reasons why people would be reapplying. So we've tried to dive a bit deeper into each one. And so go through the appeals process. If that doesn't apply, then reapply and try and wait that month is probably the best summary that I can give you. Now, if there's any questions that you still have, comment below and we'll be sure to answer some of these questions in these videos that we do quite regularly. But again, if you found this highly valuable, click the like button below because this helps other people like yourself get access to this information that is highly valuable for their Schengen visa application where they're having problems with reapplying as well. And again, click the subscribe button because we constantly come out with new content that applies to updates for the Schengen visa application process. There recently been quite a few changes that a lot of other websites have not updated their content for. So be sure to subscribe so you get those notifications as soon as they happen. And then again, click on one of the videos that I've just linked to in order for you to dive a little bit deeper in your Schengen visa application process so that we can help you further expand exactly what you need to know to travel to Europe. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.